London's waterway, the Thames, flows gracefully through the metropolis, past many historic landmarks towards the estuary and the North Sea. The Mother of Parliaments at Westminster casts a benign eye on the river so long associated with it. We remember well the booming chimes of Big Ben, giving us strength in our darkest hours during the war. Eastwards to the most modern of London's bridges at Waterloo, opened by King George VI in 1946, and on to the historic Tower of London with its many grim tales of imprisonments and executions, around which so much of our history is written. Now to the last bridge on the Thames, the famous Tower Bridge, yet only 60 years old. We pass through the Pool of London, slowly, for there is so much to see. Ships, large and small, congregate here in their thousands, en route to every quarter of the world. There is no commodity known that is not brought to or dispatched from London's river. And on it goes to the wider reaches of the Thames, onwards to the sea. Yet this river of London, peaceful as it seems today, was once a hotbed of crime and piracy. Now it is highly disciplined, policed and patrolled by the Thames Division of the Metropolitan Police Force. How did this transformation from violence to peace occur? It was Dr. Patrick Colquhoun, who came to London from Glasgow in the 18th century, who first conceived the necessity of policing the River Thames. In his time, as these old prints show, there was a bottleneck of traffic. The wharf frontage was under 1,500 feet. Dangerous gangs of ruffians were engaged in pillage and plunder, and it was estimated that of the 37,000 river workers, 11,000 were thieves or receivers. As a result, the Marine Police Force was formed in 1798. Having then been born from sheer necessity, the Thames Division, as we know it today, is senior by 30 years to the rest of the branches of the Metropolitan Police Force. The boundaries of the division stretch from Teddington in Middlesex, where the large weir controls the water flow of the whole of the upper reaches of the Thames, to Dartford Creek, a flat, desolate stretch of water. The division is served by subdivision stations, Blackwall, which lies close to the entrance to the West India docks, Wapping, whose gaunt nearby warehouses shelter the ghosts of bygone pirates, and Waterloo Pier, the only floating police station in the world, and it is supplemented by two sectional stations, Erith, hardly a stone's throw from Dartford Creek, and Barnes, within sight of the finishing posts of the boat race. Wapping is the headquarters of the division and adjoins the original Magistrates' Court, where Patrick Colquhoun held office. In the early days, the river was patrolled day and night by rowboats. Later, in 1885, 3 steam pinnaces were added. As science progressed, engines powered the rowboats, enabling the Thames policeman to patrol his water beat with greater speed and efficiency. Today, the division has a fleet of 33 patrol boats and 3 supervision launches, all fitted with Peterborough-made marine diesel engines. The patrol boats are 30 feet double-skinned wooden motorboats driven by 65 horsepower 6-cylinder marine diesel engines, giving a speed of approximately 13 knots and manned by a crew of 3. Each boat is equipped to meet any emergency. A powerful searchlight, towing equipment of all kinds, a resuscitator or breathing apparatus, a specially designed stretcher which can be hauled up by a crane without danger to the patient, and two-way radio telephony are among the special equipment carried. The supervision launch is 40 foot long, driven by twin 100 horsepower marine diesel engines and screws, giving a maximum speed of 23 knots, which in everyday language means approximately 30 miles an hour. The pride of the fleet is the John Harriet, the smartest launch on the Thames, named after the first magistrate appointed to administer the Thames Division. All repairs to the fleet are carried out by a civilian staff of skilled mechanics, fitters and boat builders at the division's own workshops at Wapping. In the workshops, the diesel engines are given a complete inspection every 300 hours, which means taking a boat out of service approximately every 3 months. All forms of maintenance and repair are undertaken, and there is nothing that these craftsmen cannot do with their own skilled hands and equipment. In the shipwright shop, the hull and fittings come under constant review. Propellers are frequently in trouble owing to the prevalence of floating refuse on the river. Worn timbers are replaced where necessary, hulls are scraped, and a coat of new paint added about every 9 weeks. This is a typical launching at Wapping after inspection and servicing. Following such constant care and attention, the crews know that when a boat is lowered back into the water, she will face the future with reliability and willingness to work under all conditions. Here, one of the crews, consisting of a sergeant as coxswain in charge and 2 constables, are starting an early turn of duty. Once aboard, first a quick check on the powerful marine diesel engines. The OK signal is given, and within a short time, off they go. Many of these personnel have served in the Royal or Merchant Navies. Police officers of Thames Division are recruited from the Metropolitan Police Force, and providing a man can swim and shows some aptitude in boat handling, he can be transferred when a vacancy occurs. Over the radio telephone of a duty patrol boat comes an instruction to inspect some barges moored in midstream. The boat pulls alongside, and the crew examine the tarpaulin coverings to see that they are secure and have not been tampered with. Satisfied, they continue on their patrol. Whilst the chief superintendent controls the whole division, the divisional superintendent exercises supervision over his particular area, which he inspects at frequent intervals in one of the launches. We accompany him now on a tour of inspection in the John Harriet, and on the way we can note some of the interesting features on the river banks. The modern square design of the Royal Festival Hall contrasts with the elegance of County Hall, headquarters of the London County Council. Contrasting again with the mellow brick of Lambeth Palace, residence of the Archbishop of Canterbury. Turning to starboard, we proceed downriver. Special permission was granted by the Lords Commissioners of the Admiralty for Thames Division to fly this flag, the blue ensign faced with a Metropolitan Police badge, first used just before the coronation of Queen Elizabeth II. On the other side of Westminster Bridge is New Scotland Yard, while close by on the river bank stands Cleopatra's Needle, overlooked by Shelmake's House and the Savoy Hotel. On past the rounded dome of St. Paul's Cathedral, rising like a symbol from the bombed ruins around it. Queen's Hythe Dock, the oldest dock in London, built on the site of a landing place of the Norsemen, where their long ships could be safely beached in winter. These landing places were called Hythes, and later were elaborated, forming rectangular incisions in the river bank as sheltered bays. Vintners Hall, home of the Worshipful Company of Vintners, or wine merchants. The The London fish market, Billingsgate, stands on the site of another of London's hides. As trade increased, the river side of the bays were closed with gateways of stakes, so this was once called Billings Gated Hythe. The first customs house was erected in 712 AD. 5 buildings have been burnt down on this site, but the present one is headquarters for the Port of London Customs. Wapping Steps was once the site of an execution dock, where it is said the last execution took place about 1792. The unfortunate man is believed to have been Captain Kidd. A nearby inn is the town of Ramsgate, where the last consideration was given to the prisoners before beheading them. They were fortified with a meal. The Prospect of Whitby, perhaps the best known of London's old taverns as a popular river rendezvous. London is the largest port in the world, and the docks the busiest. Amongst the more famous are the Surrey Commercial, West and East India, Millwall, the Royal Docks, Victoria and Albert, and the King George V. The many ships lying there seem to dwarf all their surroundings. And so to Greenwich, on whose southern banks stands the Royal Naval College overlooked by the Royal Observatory. Through this observatory runs the meridian of Greenwich to the gasworks on the south shore and diagonally across to the power station on the north shore, where a plaque on the building denotes east and west of the meridian. The reason for the subdivisional superintendent's trip today is to go on board a merchant vessel to apprehend one of the crew and bring him back to the station for questioning. The captain is treated to the usual courtesies. Meanwhile, the suspect's personal effects are loaded onto the launch and the superintendent takes the man away to the station. The higher reaches of the Thames provide a striking contrast in the riverside scene. To the man on duty making another daily trip, it is all too familiar. But for the appreciative patrolman, familiarity does not breed contempt. Though only half a mile away, busy streets and factories are forgotten on this sunny spring afternoon. Through Richmond Lock, the first on the Thames eastwards. The rise and fall of water is not very great in this part, as the flow is only partially controlled here and the water is still tidal. With its picturesque Georgian bridge, Richmond remains an attractive riverside town. On the hill above the town is the famous Star and Garter Hospital, caring for disabled men from 2 world wars. In the summer, the banks are crowded with sightseers and holidaymakers, and the river with small craft. But this is still early spring and comparatively peaceful. The boat race, with Oxford and Cambridge renewing their annual rivalry. For Thames Division, it is the busiest day of the year. Every available man and boat is put into service. And for the more fortunate, there is a ringside seat into the bargain. All kinds of ships use the river. Cable ships, tugs, ocean-going vessels, water buses, petrol carriers, passenger ships, and Thames Division takes care of them all, whilst working in close liaison with Her Majesty's Customs and Excise and the Port of London Authority. By day and night, through every condition of weather, the river police are at work. On a cold, raw, foggy morning, when the lucky ones are still in their warm beds, someone in a patrol boat is out keeping an eye on things. So today, our London waterway, the Thames, is the most efficiently policed river in the world, and we salute Thames Division.